Hello everyone and welcome back to Sports Today. Whilst we were busy actually catching up on some sleep, it's good for all of us, but we know what they say about the world of sport, it never really sleeps. So we are here to bring you some interesting news updates that you may have missed through last evening, last night, or even earlier this morning. So without further ado, let's just get straight down to it. Now, unfortunately, the stark reality of an India call-up or an India squad being announced is that there will be players who are disappointed to miss out. That's especially true in the case of India because, well, there's so many talented players that more often than not, it does actually happen that a player will end up missing out and they might just feel hard done by. Normally, that might be one or two players, but in this case, we found at least four players who are currently on the outs as far as the India things are concerned, and they have actually put out some rather interesting reactions to their snub. Now, you have Prithvi Shaw who posted a story where he says that hope you're watching everything, Sai Baba. You then have Nitish Rana, who you remember has had a brief flirtation with the India caps. He played during the Sri Lanka series in 2021, hasn't got a call back since. He says, hope, hold on, pain ends. He shared a story with that particular caption. Ravi Bishnoi, who in my opinion was very unfairly discarded despite actually being part of the team for a good chunk of 2022 ahead of the World Cup. He was just told, sorry, we're bringing in R. Ashwin instead. Bishnoi put out a simple story saying the comeback is always stronger than the setback. And Umesh Yadav, who we know in recent times has had an up and down career as far as not just IPL selection but even his India selection, put out a tweet or story on Instagram saying maybe you can fool me but God is watching, mind that. Obviously these players will be taking it hard that they ended up missing out on comeback, and it's understandably so for a variety of reasons. So Shaw has been waiting for a callback for a while. Remember, he had issues with getting a bit of a suspension for drug. It was a doping ban essentially. Then you've had Nitish Rana who got one call up, didn't really get looked back at since. Umesh Yadav, as I said, been in and out. Bishnoi was with the team for a long time, was seen as the deputy to UZHL, then just got discarded at the very last minute. You can understand their frustration, but I will just say that it's a pretty interesting approach to take to actually vent out your feelings like this on social media. Hopefully them actually getting dropped fires them up to put in some good performances, because remember, you have the Syed Mushtaq Ali taking place right now, then you will have the IPL auction come up in December reportedly. So there's plenty of cricket for them to look forward to, and hopefully they can actually use this rejection as motivation, as fuel to do well in whatever chances it is that they get outside of the India scheme of things and force themselves way back in. Now, speaking of someone who doesn't really need to force himself back into the scheme of things and is pretty much a guaranteed choice whenever fit, Jasprit Bumrah, well, we know for a fact that he missed out on the T20 World Cup due to getting a stress fracture in the back. And at that time when it did happen, there was a lot of talk about whether or not he was actually rushed back from injury and whether the Indian team should have actually handled it better. Now, he had gotten injured just before the Asia Cup. He missed the Asia Cup, then played the Australia series and missed out on the South Africa series when his injury was diagnosed. And the reason I'm bringing up Bumrah here is because yesterday when the squads were announced for India's multiple tours that are upcoming, when all of the squads were announced, Chief Selector Chetan Sharma actually all but admitted that Bumrah, they rushed him back, because he said that, look, we managing the workload of players regardless of everything is so important. He's saying, look what happened with Bumrah. We tried to rush him back to get him fit for the World Cup, but the end result was worse because now the World Cup is going on and we don't have a Jasprit Bumrah. Now, obviously, Bumrah is such an operator that he makes any team's bowling attack just better by being there. India will definitely, miss him, even though they've not done too badly so far in the tournament. 2 wins, 1 loss. It's fair game. But you can't help but think that India will be so much stronger without Bumrah, and it does actually speak to the importance of managing workloads. Now, speaking of injuries, we're going to be talking about another player who unfortunately will be missing out a World Cup, but this time in a different sport. Or we'll get to that in a bit, but you first have Dewar Brevis. This boy, he's not been nicknamed Baby AB for no reason. Now, that is a massive tag to be giving any player, especially a young player who you have high hopes for, because you can say that being compared to someone as great as AB de Villiers can be a compliment, but it can also drag you down. However, it isn't, at least so far, dragging Brevis down, and he ended up smashing a wonderful century in a T20 match, in a domestic T20 match. It was hard hitting, it was amazing, and it was so good that it actually got complimented by AB de Villiers himself. Now, that is as high a form of praise as you can get, especially considering that Brevis is not only a young South African who's been, whose style of play has been likened to AB, but the fact of the matter is that AB was one of the best white ball cricketers this generation has seen. And if he's appreciating knocks, you'd better believe they're very, very good. Hopefully, Brevis can keep going like this, because he is really, really good to watch. And I think the world of cricket would be poorer without actually seeing his talent flourish as it has been in recent times. Now, switching our focus from sports beyond cricket to other sports, some poor football news if you are someone who is in fact interested in the French national team. That's because this man, Paul Pogba, who was so key to Le Bleu winning the World Cup in 2018, will now be missing out on the 2022 World Cup. It's been confirmed, and whilst there was a lot of suspicion, because you remember he was dealing with a long-term injury for a while, he didn't play much for Juventus, he's been dealing with an injury, he was also dealing with a case of blackmail. I've done a separate video on that, you can check that out on Sports Today, find it if you can. Then his injury was taking longer to heal, and unfortunately he will be missing out. Now, that's a big blow for the French team for two reasons, because he's their second key midfielder who will not be part of the tournament in Qatar, after N'Golo Kante himself has also been ruled out prior to this. So it's not looking good for France as far as the defense of their title is concerned, but they will no doubt make the best of it that they can. But you can't help but feel that the team would be so much better if both Pogba and Kante were part of it. Now, we'll end this video with something that is a bit of a light-hearted, funny news, but which does also reveal, a little deeper. It reveals a lot of things. Let's just get down to it. Well, it turns out that Gary Neville, the former Manchester United captain and legendary player of the club, has now in fact gotten into Cristiano Ronaldo's bad books. And how exactly is it that we know that? Well, because there's been footage that emerged during the broadcast that was taking place ahead of United's game against West Ham, when it was shown that Ronaldo came over to where the Sky Sports pundits were. He said hi to Louis Saha, he said hi to Jamie Redknapp, but Gary Neville, who's standing here, who you can see, he didn't acknowledge him at all. He had actually criticized him a lot. And so Carragher, for a fact, couldn't actually miss out on a chance to taunt Neville. So he put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to the blank by Ronaldo Club," and tagged Gary Neville. And in fact, to make things better, he's having such a laugh about that he's been tweeting responses to that video and retweeting them too. And this image is actually now his Twitter header pic. If you don't believe me, go ahead and check it out for yourself. It's a very funny situation all around, but it does show that Ronaldo isn't very good at taking criticism, even when that criticism was deserved. Remember, Neville's criticism came after news reports emerged that Ronaldo had refused to come on as a substitute during United's win against Tottenham, and that's fair game. As a player, you shouldn't be turning down the chance to come on from the bench unless you're injured, and you certainly shouldn't be walking down the tunnel before the final whistle blows. Ronaldo did both those things. He was dropped from the squad, apparently, reportedly, also given a fine. And Neville was well within his rights to actually criticize him for it. Why he had to react like that is beyond me, but let's just see the lighter side of it, be like Jamie Carragher, and have a good old laugh at the fact that Neville is now in Ronaldo's bad books. Or, as Neville himself put it, he said that let's just say we won't be exchanging Christmas cards this year. And that's it for this particular update of the morning wrap. It's a bit late in the morning, we know that, but such are the timings we work sometimes that sometimes we might just get a little delayed. But you know for a fact that we at Sports Today will always be bringing you the best and the latest from the world of sports. If you appreciate what it is that we do, then please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon if you haven't already, and leave us a comment below letting us know how you feel about it, or if there was any other interesting news you thought we may have missed and you'd like to discuss. Then you can go ahead and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and last but not least, download the Sportspack app for all of these breaking news updates at the tip of your fingers. Thank you once again for joining us. As always, I've been Shane Reyes. I hope to see you all with us through the day, but for now, goodbye.